Alright, what's up guys? VV back with another video. And today we're going to be checking out a pretty interesting leader. You see it on the screen right now. We got Vinsmoke, Reiju lined up for today. And I have to say, when this leader was first spoiled, I thought the leader was good. Because, you know, this effect is just generically good in any deck that runs purple. And it's very easy to turn on. But there was a whole package that came with this leader. We're going to look at it in today's video. And I thought, oh, that's a little gimmicky. I thought it was cool, but I thought, that's a little bit gimmicky, right? Guys, it's anything but that. It's very consistent and it's very powerful. And one more thing I want to say before we launch into the video is this is a great leader for newer players to get into the game with. Let me explain why. If you're a newer player, pay attention, right? Number one, this leader is very strong. This is a deck that is, you know, this leader is winning store battles, flagships in the East. It's winning locals over here in the West. In OP06 and OP07, right? In the West and East. And then, so that's number one. It's a very solid deck. Number two, it's a deck that will teach you how to play the game and how to stack certain triggers or effects in certain ways so you can get the full potential out of them. So it's going to kind of teach you how to play the game and get better at it. And then number three, this is a budget deck list. In the sim games we're going to be looking at today that I have for y'all, we've got 5 games on the sim. And in those games, I'm running a list that costs, like, I think at the time of me recording this video, it's like a $65 deck list. That's about as cheap as you can ask for any card game for a viable competitive deck list. So, you know, that's just something I had to say up front, guys. If you're a newer player, this is a great entry level to the game for you. And get this. At first, when you're learning the game and you're newer, it is going to be good for you to learn up front. But as you get better and better, this leader can go with you, right? You see what I'm saying? Like you can stay on this leader at least into OP07 because we're gonna see there are some lists over in the East from OP07 that are still doing well with this leader. So, you know, it's not like you'll grow out of the skill level of it. No, it's coming along for the ride. Okay, so let's dive into this video, guys. Let me give you all a quick layout. First, we're going to check out some deck lists from all over, from the West and the East, from OP06 and from OP07. And it's really just one main deck list we're going to look at. There are other ways people are trying to build this leader, trying to get away from the Vinsmoke family Germa 66 theme. We're not focusing on that in this video. Just to give you guys a quick heads up there. So that's first. Then we're going to go over 5 games on the sim. And then we're going to check out the deck list that I'm running. Like I said, it's like a $65 budget deck list that I'm running. And we'll talk about it and do some final thoughts from there. Okay, so you know what you're getting into. Let's get straight into this. First and foremost, we got the leader here. 5,000 power, 4 life, dual color leader. That's very standard. Blue and purple for the color pool. Very solid color pool. And listen to this effect, guys. Your turn, once per turn, when one of your Dawn cards on the field is returned to your Dawn deck, draw a card. So once per turn, you're going to be able to return a Dawn card from your field to your Dawn deck. You know, or whenever you can do that. Excuse me. Let me reword that. Whenever you can return a Dawn card from your field to your Dawn deck, you can draw a card. Well, that's a major theme in purple, and the Vinsmoke family Germa 66 stuff that came with this leader, it's all built around that. So you're going to be able to use this effect like every single turn, starting on turn 2 or 3. Very solid effect, very standard, generic, powerful effect. Now, let me break down how this leader works. I have done a video on this in the past, but I'm going to make sure to go through this real quick for the newer players out there, or for people who just don't know what this leader does. So there are 2 different forms of each character, and I'm sorry if I butchered these names, guys. I'm just giving you a warning right now. I'm probably going to butcher them. Just bear with me. You've got Ikiji, Niji, Yanji, and Reiju. Those are the 4 main characters, and then I'll talk about Judge in a second. So Ikiji, Niji, Yanji, and Reiju. There are 2 different versions of each of them. There's the lower cost version and the higher cost version. The lower cost version you can play out and then listen to what it says and understand that each one of these says the same thing for their respective character. So Dawn -1, trash this character, activate main. This is an activate main. You may trash this character in Dawn -1, so that gives you the draw card effect from your leader. If your leader has the Germa 66 type, you may play up to 1 cost 7 Vinsmoke Ikiji from your hand or trash. Hand or trash. That's very important. So you'll be able to play this card from your hand or your trash. And look what this card is. So remember, this card only costs you 4. Excuse me. So if you play this card out for 4, and then you return 1 Dawn card, you could then play out this 7 cost card from your hand or from your trash. And since you returned a Dawn card, you're going to draw a card. Hopefully that all makes sense. If you guys have any questions, please put them down in the comment section below. Okay? But that's how every one of these cards work. And each one of them, you know, each one of them has a different effect. Ikiji is the biggest one. He's a 7-cost, 7,000 power card with Rush, and it can give a character minus 2,000 power for the turn. Now, let me explain one other thing that's a very, very important part of this deck. Every one of them have this clause right here. If you have equal to or less Dawn on your field than your opponent, then you get the following effect. You'll get to give one of his characters give one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power for the turn, and this character gains Rush. Excuse me. So you see what's going on there. You do have to have less than or equal Dawn to your opponent. And that's a big deal. That's not too hard for us to do, right? Because of these cards, the Dawn -1 cards. Because each one of them, like here's the version for Niji, here's the version for Yanji, pause these if you need to read them, but they all do the same thing, Dawn -1, and then play out their counter, you know, their bigger version. So, like I said, Ikiji, he has Rush and can give minus 2,000 power if you have equal to or less Dawn than your opponent. Niji, if you have equal to or less Dawn than your opponent, I want to make sure to hammer that home with you guys. He can either KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, or bounce a 4 or less, return a 4-cost or less character to their owner's hand. Yanji is just a blocker with plus 1,000 power. And then Reiju, this is kind of the star right now of all these cards. This is the most expensive card in the deck. And it is like, at least in the budget version, because I'll talk about Queen in a minute. Reiju is like the most expensive of all the little Vinsmoke types, and she is the most powerful for what she's doing. It's a 4-cost 5k with a 1k counter. That's all fine. But on play, if you have equal to or less Dawn than your opponent, draw 2 cards. If you have 5 or less cards in hand, too, there is one other stipulation. And that stipulation, if you have 5 or less cards in hand, draw 2 cards. Remember what I was saying earlier, for the newer players, this will teach you a lot about sequencing and how to layer event effects and triggers. This will help with that, because what you can do is you can resolve your, like, say you go down to 5 cards in hand, right? When you play out this card right here, and you have 5 cards in hand, well, you can do this draw 2 effect. But if you did it by returning a Dawn card, you know, by playing out the little version, if you had this card on the field, sorry if this is a little clumsy, guys, bear with me, and this card's in your trash, and you have 5 cards in hand, well, if you do the Dawn -1 on this effect here, and then play out the Reiju, well, this on play effect goes on the stack, so to speak. You know, these try to resolve at the same time as the leader's effect, because you return 1 Dawn card. However, because they're trying to resolve at the same time, you as the active player, you're going to get to choose which one goes off first. And in this case, you're going to want to choose the Reiju, because you have to have 5 less cards in hand. So if you had 5 cards in hand and you chose to resolve this one first, you'll go to 6 cards in hand, and then this one will fail because you have more than 5 cards in hand. You see what I'm saying? I know that seems really technical for newer players, but it's actually so good to learn stuff like that, because it will help you get better at this game faster and faster and faster, learning those technical rules. Okay. Excuse me. So that's half the deck. I know that seemed like a lot up front, guys, but that is over half the deck right there. Because you're talking 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32 cards right there. Then you've got your 2K counter package. This one's running 12 2K counters, which I do recommend more 2K counters than less. 4 Sora and 4 Kaya. So that's 12 2K counters. And then this is Judge. So let me explain him real quick. What this card does, this is an 8-cost, 8,000 power character that has on play Dawn -1, trash 2 cards from your hand, and play up to 4 of these Germa 66 type character cards with 4,000 power or less from your trash with different names. So do you see what's going on here? That's going to allow you to play out the Ikiji, the Niji, the Yanji, and the Reiju. And then after you do that, you'll be able to play all of their bigger versions right away. So it's like, you know, Power Rangers, you know, news team assemble, right? It's just incredible, just absolutely incredible what this card can do. But you only want 2 of these in your deck. Number 1, because there's a lot of searchability in this deck, we'll talk about in just a second after this. And number 2, you're only going to be able to resolve this effect 1 time a game, realistically. I mean, I guess, you know, it's possible to do it more than once, but realistically, that's not going to happen. Okay, and now last but not least, you've got this searcher package down here, and then 1 utility card I'll talk about. Actually, let me talk about this first. This deck is running 2 of it says Rubber Sledgehammer. It's actually called Gum Gum Giant Gavel. This is a 1-cost 4K counter. That's what this is. That's what it's meant to be in this deck, and it puts 2 cards in your trash, so that fills up your trash for your small character effects. Okay, but other than that, this is definitely a tech card, and I do like it. I do like this card a lot. but these are the other cards that are in every deck. You've got 4 of these. This is a 1-cost top 5 Germa 66 Searcher. Or I should say Germa Searcher. And then this is the stage for the deck. This is a 1-cost top 3 Searcher. You have to trash a card first, and then you'll do a top 3 search for a Germa card. This is very, very important, though, guys, this card right here, because it allows you to get a card like this in your trash that doesn't have a counter. It can also let you, trash Judge early on if you don't want it early on. It has a lot of utility. And just in general, the bigger characters, you're going to want to put them in the trash so you can get full value from the smaller character's effect. Okay, a lot of stuff going on there. Okay, so you've seen this list, guys. Let me just go ahead and look at a few more. What we were just looking at, this list was from the OP06 in Japan format. That was the list we were just looking at. And I believe it was this one right here. It went 9-2. Yeah, this list went 9-2 at a 1,500 player tournament, top 8. So this was a CS Tokyo preliminaries, top 8, 9-2, 1,500 player tournament results. Outstanding. This was an OP06. Now, I'm just going to look at a few others, and you guys are going to see what I'm saying. I'm just going to click this one. This was first place, 114 player, 3-on-3 tournament. Look, guys, this one was actually the exact same. I wonder if this might have been the same exact guy. Let me see something. Well, it doesn't say the same author, but it could have been the same guy. Who knows? And then I'll look at this first place at a Bandai Card Fest 450-player tournament from OP06. Guys, remember, we're still in OP06, right? Now, this one is running Queen. This is the one major change you will see in a lot of these decks. As far as 2K counters go, most people are just running 12. Like, this one's running 1, 1, 4, 1, 4. So this one's running 11 2K counters. So somewhere between 10 and 12 2K counters. But the other card that you're going to see a lot of is Queen. If you're trying to take this deck to the next level, I do think you need about 2, maybe 3 of this card. But this card's about $35 a pop at the time of me recording this video. So that takes this deck out of the budget range. But you don't need the card to do well at locals and to do well, like at the, just getting into the game. But I will say, read this card, guys, if you don't know what it does. Just imagine, with this leader, guys, this is a Dawn -1, draw 3, trash 1. Right? Play out a 5-cost 6K blocker, draw 3, trash 1. It's hard to beat that. It's just extremely, extremely valuable. Okay. And that's about it. Let me go over to the West now. You guys are going to see it's the exact same thing. Here's another list. It's running the exact same package. Now, this one is running, for the 2K counters, it's running 4 Kaya, 4 Miss Doublefinger, and 4 Sora. So it's running those 12. And this one's not running Yanji. Sometimes they get rid of the 4-cost blocker brother, like of the little brother packages or the brother-sister package. I'll call it the Vinsmoke package. Sorry, guys. Some of them aren't running the little 4-cost blocker guy, Yanji, but they'll run Queen in the place of it. And I get that. It does make sense, but the other version still works just fine. Okay, and the one we just looked at, let me go back. This was at a 1,000-player tournament. It got top 16 at a regional. Okay, guys, so this list is very, very solid. Sorry, guys, it got rid of the search I had. There we go. So the one we just looked at was this one right here. We'll even look at the top 32 version of the same tournament, 1,000-player tournament. Got top 32 as well. Identical list, guys. I think the list is like 100% identical, and it is not the same player. Because, see, that was Cordova, Sage Cordova, and this one is Tyler. Sage, I wonder if that's Keck Filet. I'm not sure, but I think his name is Sage. Good stuff, though, whoever it is. Notice these lists are the exact same, though, guys. The exact same. And now we'll just look at this top 4 at a 500-player tournament, and we'll move on. Because, like I said, there's not a whole lot of reasons to look at a bunch of them. They're all almost exactly the same. Now, this one's running 2 Miss Doublefinger, 2 Gion. This helps against your Nami matchup, which is another really solid budget option. I don't know. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not in the beginning of this video. That's another solid budget option is Nami, but I'll talk about that in another video. I actually have a video lined up for that very soon, but not yet, not right now. Okay, but this one's running, like I said, it's still running 12 2K counters. It's just 2 Gions, 2 Miss Doublefingers, and then always 4 Vinsmoke Sora and 4 Kaya. That does not change until we get to OP07. Now, once they get to OP07, there's a new card. There's a few new cards coming out, but one major card they start looking at is Sanji. This is a 6-cost, 6,000 power, 2K counter that has blocker, and while you have 2 or more fewer Dawn than your opponent, that was confusing, hang on, in your hand, this costs 3 less. So in other words, if your opponent is at 8 Dawn and you're at 6 or 5 or 4, anything below 6, where you're 2 or fewer lower than your opponent, this card becomes a 3-cost, 6,000 power blocker. Absolutely incredible. Very, very solid card. There's also a new promo 2K counter coming out soon. It might already be out. I'm not exactly sure. But this is another promo coming out. A 3-cost, 4,000 power 2K counter. This is a Vinsmoke family Germa Kingdom Sanji, though. So you can search it up with cards like this. Because this can look up to 5... So let me read what Germa 66, the event, does. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 card with a type including Germa other than Germa 66. Right? So this is Germa Kingdom, just like all of these. And this one, same exact thing. You're looking for the Germa in its types. So you can search this up, which is very nice. And this one's running Pudding, which I do recommend. In the list you're going to see today from me, I am running Pudding. So this card, very solid. I talk about this in every video. I'm going to spare you guys on this one. Just know that's a very good card. Okay, so and that was in OP07, guys. Notice this is from OP07, 500 years in the future. And let me show you guys how it's doing over in OP07, whereas Reiju. Look at this, guys. Top 4 at a 300-player flagship. First place in a 3-on-3. But first place in this flagship, first place in this one, first place. I mean, like, the deck is solid, and it's still solid going into OP07. So really good stuff there. All right, that's enough blabbering about that. Maybe, should we look at one more list? Let me see which one we looked at. Was this the one we were looking at? I don't think so. It might be. I'm not sure. It was either that one or this 300-player tournament. Let me look real quick. Actually, this is the one we were looking at, right? This is the one we were looking at. So let's look at this other one real quick. Then we'll go to the games on the sim. Pretty much everything's the same. They're just not running that promo searchable 2K counter Sanji. That's the only thing that changed. But they still have the 4-cost Straw Hat Sanji, the purple one. Which this one looks so awesome. Like, really, really cool art. Okay, and it's still running the Puddings, which is going to help your matchups against, like, yellow, green, things like that. Okay, now, let's get into the games on the sim, guys. We got some games on the sim to knock out. This leader was an absolute blast to play on the sim. It requires skill, but it's going to help you learn the game if you're a newer player. And if you're a more veteran player, you're just going to get better and better by playing a deck like this. I feel like it's going to force you to play better. Okay, so you want to mulligan early for the stage. Sorry, guys. This first game, let me pause it real quick. Sorry. So first game here, I'm even going to back up just a little bit, guys. Let me hit play, and let me make sure this works. There we go. You're going to want to mulligan aggressively for that stage. You really, really want to get the stage. It turns the entire deck on because it helps you, number one, fix your hand. And number two, it gets cards in your trash easier. So very, very important to go for this stage as fast as you can. Like, this is your number one priority when you're doing a mulligan. Okay, and maybe Pudding is your number 2 priority against certain matchups. And I do have that in my hand as well. So I get off to a pretty good start here. I'm going first, and I get the stage down on turn 1. And I'm going to go ahead and play it out and trash my 7-cost guy and sort it for a 2K counter. So right here, I don't have a lot of options. So I'm going to use the stage first. It's good to get in the habit of using that first when you have it, so that way you can make sure to not, so that way you can check all of your possibilities. Okay? Right now he's going to swing 7 at me. I'm going to take this, and I'm not going to use that stage does, or excuse me, that event does have a trigger, but it's just draw 1 card. I'd rather do a top 5 search with it. Okay, so right there, I play out Pudding to wreck his hand. I swing for 5. I get a Reiju. I trash it because I'm going to play it next turn and get another card from my my stage. Okay, I'm going to do a 2K, 1K. You want to counter out pretty aggressively in this deck because you want to keep getting your value from your 4-cost Reijus. Like, it's very, very important. Okay, so I'm doing a little bit of math. That's why it's taking me a second to do this play here. I'm going to swing 5 into this guy. Let's see if he gives me any cards. We'll swing 5 more into him. By all means, now he has 2 cards left in hand. I still have 3 life. I feel fine. I'm going to play out the Reiju here. Okay, now that is what I'm talking about, guys. Okay, in this situation here, I only had 3 cards in hand, so it didn't matter which order. It didn't matter in which order that I activated this effect and did the resolve the triggers. But if I had 5 cards in hand, I would make sure that I do the Reiju first, the character, before using the Reiju leader ability or leader effect. Okay, so that just drew me 7 cards, and I established a 5K body for 2 Dawn, right? And all I had to do was return one of those 2 Dawn to my deck. I did a top search there. I'm going to go ahead and play out the 4-cost guy, -2 there. I should have swung with my leader into that card, or even Pudding, but that's okay. I did get a lot of cards out of him for it. Okay, he does a Pudding search. I'm pretty sure he got a 10-cost Lin, if I remember correctly. Sorry if you guys obviously can't see it. Now he's going to swing in. Again, I'm going to counter out pretty aggressively. I knew I could get out of that one. He swings 10 into my 7 cost character. I'm not too worried about losing that character because I can get it back later. Okay, so right here I'm going to swing 6 into the Kikanojo. He just lets me have it to go up a life. I'm like, okay, I guess that's fine. I need to determine what I want to do here. So I go ahead and play out another Reiju to draw some cards, fix my hand a little bit. I'm trying to claw my way back into this game because he is still in a pretty good position. So just there, I feel like I kind of stabilized, but look what he's doing. He swung 5. He's obviously going to play out Lin Lin. I let the card go. I have to lose a life. He gains a life. And I'm in a bad position, but not an unwinnable position. And that's one thing I want to mention about this deck, too, is that happens a lot. I feel like that happens a lot with this leader. Is you get in positions that feel like it's like, man, this is kind of unwinnable, but it's really not. It's really not unwinnable. Like, you know, you just have to make sure you play things correctly and go from there. Okay, 2k counters out of my 6k attack. And I'm going to play out Vinsmoke Judge. So I have to return 1 Dawn. I have to trash 2 cards from my hand. And then I can play up to 4,000 power or lower Vinsmoke cards with different names. Characters with different names. I only had 3 from that one. But I'm able to get a Reiju, draw more cards. Play out Niji. I can KO his 1-cost Pudding. Play out my 7,000 power guy, the Akiji. And minus 2,000 doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to swing 7 at face. And he gives me a 0-cost 3k. And now I'm presenting lethal. Like, okay, so is he to some extent. I just have to be able to get out of 1 attack, and then he can't KO me this turn, right? Okay, so he hits me there, and then he pops me with a reject. I did not expect that, but let's do some math real quick. I did not expect reject, guys. I will say that right now. But look at my hand. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I have 9,000 encounters, so that means I can get to 14k. I'm 2k safe, but watch what I do. I was like, oh, I didn't consider that. I countered out Evolve it, went to 14, GG, because on the crackback, he's not going to survive. He has 2k counter in hand, no decent trigger coming his way, and I'm going to hit him for like 6 times. Okay, good stuff. You know the deck is pretty good if it can beat Katakuri. Okay, next game. I'm not saying you're going to beat Katakuri every time, but I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. Like, it has the potential there. Okay, next up, Red Purple Law. One bad thing I will say about this deck is Red Purple Law, number one, it's like the best deck in the format currently, Red Purple Law is. You're going to see it a lot. And it is a hard counter to Reiju. Let me put on 2x speed real quick, guys. Sorry. Whoops, did that work? Did it? Yeah, it did. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Red Purple Law is a hard counter to this deck, but you can still beat it. Okay, you can still beat Red Purple Law with this deck. So he starts off with a Gordon. That doesn't really scare me very much. I'm not going to lie. Like, yeah, it can definitely annoy me, but I can even pop that with a the 5-cost Niji. Okay, he plays out Shashi and Penguin, and it just so happens I was able to get Niji from the top. That was very lucky. That's not going to happen every time, right? But that's okay. I've got other plays here. I'm going to play out the 4-cost guy, and I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Yeah, I have 2 in the trash, so I'm going to play that out because this is a very hard card for him to bottom deck with something like Gordon. He'll have to combo it with Gordon and another Gordon, or Gordon or Raise Max, or Gordon Otama, or the 4-cost 5,000 power promo Law. That's another option. Okay, so he's swinging in for 7, and 2k, 1k I get out of that. We're fine. And now 7 more. I'm going to have to take that. And now let's see what he does. -3. This guy was playing very well, making sure to stay under my Dawn. Because the reason I didn't swing for 7,000 power... Let me pause real quick, guys. I'm sorry. Just to explain. The reason I didn't swing for 7 with my character last turn is because I literally couldn't. You can only get the second part of the effect from the bigger characters if you have equal to or less Dawn than your opponent. So I literally could not swing last turn. Okay, that's okay. Let's see what happens here. He played out Ain. He goes up to 2 Dawn. That does still hurt him a little bit because he's so low in Dawn. Okay, so right here I go ahead and grab out the Reiju, and I'm just going to keep trying to put down some big characters and eat up his board. So swing 5 into 5. He's going to have to give me a 1k counter or let the character go. Okay, so I'm just going to swing 7 into it. Now he's going to have to give me 2 cards, or he's going to have to let it go. And let's see what happens. So one thing I will say, going back to what I was originally saying, is I guess I can't pop that Gordon with Niji because I have less Dawn, because I have more Dawn than my opponent. Okay. So right there, I had to play out the Reiju. End up getting out the Niji as well, which was nice, but I get no effect from it. But I am starting to stay low in Dawn. So now he can't just play out a Reiju to draw 2. He would have to do that from his leader's effect or something like that. And one thing I will say, too, one of the major factors of winning this game is, it sounds bad, but you have to hope your opponent doesn't draw enough rushers. Like, I mean, it literally comes down to that. So he's going to swing 7. He used his Gordon to -3 my guy. I'm just going to let that go because look what's in my hand. I'd rather him KO that card instead of bottom decking it because I've got 4 of these cards in my hand. So I take the 7K hit. That's just brutal. 7K more. What am I supposed to do? I got to go 2K, 1K. And now he's going to play out another card from hand. If it's a rush card, I'm in deep trouble. If not, it's not the end of the world. It's a rush card. I'm in deep trouble. -1K there. I've got 2 cards left in hand. 1 life left. How am I supposed to win this game? The answer is very carefully, right? That's the answer. Okay, so I'm trying to fix my hand. I get a 1K counter from that. I go for a blocker or a 2K counter. I end up getting the blocker. I'm like, okay, so since I can play out this card, I'm going to eat up all the cards from his hand right here. Swing 5, swing 6 into his board. Nothing is going at his life. I don't want to give him any cards from life. Okay, 5 into there. Let's see what he gives me. And look at this, man. This guy had, like, he didn't have the best pull, because the best pull would have been if that card was a Kid and Killer. If the Zoro was a Kid and Killer, I'd probably just lose the game. But he got almost the best pull, and here we go, guys. I just have to survive 3 attacks here, potentially 4 if he top decked what he needed. Swing 6 into 5. I have to take this one. I've got 3K counter in hand and a blocker. So okay, I don't really care. So okay, hang on, pause. I don't think he should have done that. I think he should have bottom decked my character. He thought I was going to have to counter out and just lose my character. That's not correct. My blocker is only a 5,000 power character right now because I have more Dawn than my opponent. So that is not a 6,000 power blocker. So he should have bottom decked it, got rid of all 3 of his Dawn, and then he can go in for 5 and 5 with his leader and his character. Now, that might not sound very important, but it actually is. Because with 4 attacks, now I'm threatening lethal next turn. And you guys are going to see what's going to happen here. So he swings in for 6. And I determined, okay, wait a minute. He has no Dawn, so it's going to be a 6K and a 5K attack. So I'm going to give him every card in my hand. So 6K out of that, 5K out of that. And now I've got my full board, and I just have to go for game this turn. I have no choice. So swing 5 at leader. Here we go. Now swing 7 at leader. That one's going to go through for sure. There's no way around this one. And now I just have to hope an 8. Well, I should have done an 8 there, to be honest. But a 7 made it through, so a 9's more than likely going to make it through. GG. And look, there's his Kid and Killers. I bet he was looking for those. Now, I will say, to my opponent's credit, he asked for a rematch after this game. I did oblige. You know, I almost never accept a rematch, just so you guys know. But I knew this guy wanted his revenge because Red Purple Law is going to beat Reiju probably like 75 to 90% of the time. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. Maybe it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but let me just say this. We rematched and he annihilated me on the rematch. But that's okay, right? We got 1 in on him, we got 1 in on us, it happens. Okay, next up we got versus Gecko Moria. I've got some pretty decent games lined up for y'all. First game, let me put on 2x speed. There we go. First game was against Katakuri. Second one was against Red Purple Law. Gecko Moria now. We got Red Purple Luffy next, and then Green Yellow Yamato. Pretty decent games lined up. Because this is a solid deck, guys. I'm just being honest with y'all. Like, yes, I do recommend it for beginners, but not because it's like a bad deck or something. Like, no, it's just because it's a great budget option that requires skill, so it makes you better at the game. Like, it's going to teach you how to play the game as you go, and it has potential to do very well. Okay, so play out Niji here. This is so nice being able to use my cards with their effects, because against Red Purple Law, your cards are just vanilla bodies. That's like all they are. But that's okay. All right, so I play out the Niji there. Pop is brand new, which isn't the greatest thing. Like, I always considered bouncing it back to his hand, because when it's in his trash, he can just bring it back. But he can get it in his trash very easily by countering out. There's no great play there. There's no winning situation there, really. Okay. like, he can't play it out with his leader. Sorry if that was confusing. I'm talking about later in the game with the 8-cost Gecko Moria character. Okay, so he swings for 5 and plays out a Kuzan. You know, ill-advised, guys. That's that's in this situation. I guess it did at least work as like a draw card effect. But guess what I'm going to do? First, I'm going to use my stage, make sure I fix everything in my hand. Or actually, I used an event first. Should have used my stage first before doing all this, but that's okay. He gives me a bunch of counters from hand, and now I'm just going to bounce this guy back with my second Niji. Some people are only running 3 Niji, I think. I think 4 is the way to go personally, and I understand against like Black Yellow Luffy, it's almost worthless. In fact, it probably is worthless against Black Yellow Luffy, but it's still a 5-cost 6K. It still has some value there. Okay, so he's going to swing 7 at my face. He's not going for board control, which is, an interesting decision there. I would typically always go for board control. So he plays out the Kuzan. I don't really have a good way of removing it this time, but we're going to go and try and fix our hand as much as we can with the stage, with events, things like that. And that's what this deck does, guys. It allows you to fix so much once you get going. Like, once you're firing on all cylinders, like once the engine's, really going, you're in good shape. Swing 6, he takes it. Swing 6, he double 1K counters out. He's playing around pudding to the absolute best of his ability, and he really is. He's doing a very good job at it. But I'm okay with that too, right? If you're trashing your hand, I don't have to use that card. I can play out other cards. Okay. Play out the Yanji. I had to play it from hand because I couldn't get in my trash in the right order. But my board's looking solid, right? My board's looking pretty good. I've got 2 4-cost cards and 2 5-cost cards. He's going to swing 7 or 6. Excuse me. He's going to swing 6 into 6. I'm going to give him a 1K counter, but he's going to trash my blocker here more than likely. Okay, he's going to do a Lucci here and KO both of my 4-cost guys. That was a good turn for him. He's still easily in this game. I need to start actually putting on a lot of pressure. I feel like I need to get rid of like that Kuzan on the board, and then just everything at life. I need to start threatening lethal here soon. I do get an 8-cost judge, but I'm at 5 Dawn. We're on turn, what did that say? Turn 5, and I'm on 5 Dawn, guys. That's not the place you want to be at. So I swing 5 into Kuzan. He gives me that for free because he only has 3 cards in hand. I'm sure one of them is a Gecko Moria. I play out the Reiju here. I'm going to go ahead and use that effect, draw 3 cards because, okay, that was a good example. Let me go backwards. Okay. Oh, actually, it didn't matter because I went down to 4 cards. Again, I think it happens in one of these games where like I have the perfect example of how to do correct sequencing with your cards for your triggers. But either way, we draw 3 cards from that effect there and establish a 4-cost 5K. We still have 3 Dawn left to work with for the turn. And I have to do something here. I have to keep up the pressure. I'm actually starting to like beat myself up a little bit. Like I wish I had let him KO one of my Nijis because I could have used that other Niji I just saw in the search and played it out and got another effect from it. But that's okay. It's not a big deal. I've got 2 costs here. I go ahead and play out the blocker again. So he just KO'd those 2 cards, but they're back. Like literally the same ones are back from the trash, that he KO'd. And that is very nice. All right, so what does he do here? He's going to play out Absalom, and he's going to bring back a Helmeppo, so he's going to be able to pop a 5 or lower character. He still opts to go for my blocker. I think that was also a small play mistake. I think he should have gone for my bigger characters and forced me to use the blocker. Okay, I'm just going to give him 1Ks for these 6K attacks. 1K, 1K, 1K. We're fine with it. Okay, I'm going to trash the Judge here because that card's not coming up this game. That card's not, it's not happening. I don't know how else to say it. That card is not happening. Okay, so I've got 5 Dawn. I've got some options here. I could play out my 4-cost Rush guy. What do I want to do? Do I want to go for lethal here and try to just defend against like a big counterattack? Or do I want to try to eat up the board? I have 2 very important options here. And honestly, I'd rather just eat up the board. There's a 1K from hand. There goes his card. 6 and a 6. Now his board's all eaten up. I'm going to let him have the Helmeppo. He can have the Helmeppo. I'm not really too worried about that. Actually, do I attack the Helmeppo here? I seriously doubt it. No, yeah. 8 into 5. He's at 1 life. So I've got him on a clock now. I've got 5K counter in hand. I've got a very strong board. I've got four characters on the board. He can only attack 4 times. And that's assuming, they can all go through with all the counter I have in hand. But never count out Gecko Moria, right? You can't count out Gecko Moria, that's for sure. So we'll have to see what he does here. He does have some options. If I'm the Gecko Moria, I am going for board, and then I'm going to play blockers. Okay, he swings 7 into 6. I give him a 2K counter. 7 into 6. Here's another 2K counter for you. And then 6 into 6. I don't understand that. Like, okay, and he just quits there because now the game is for sure over. Because now he can only KO one character with his 8 cost Gecko Moria. But look what he had in hand. So this is a situation where, like, okay, you know, players are learning what to do on the sim. Like, these are new players, right? In this situation, just get one of my characters off the board. It doesn't have to be my 6K characters. Just get my Reiju, swing everything into my Reiju like he did there, and then just play some blockers and just go next turn. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, I guess there are some decks that are more spicier than others, but I don't run any removal. Most of these blue purple Reiju decks, they don't really run removal, which is something we need to talk about. You know, maybe there is a reason to run removal in the future, but generally speaking, there is no removal that they run. So don't worry about your guys getting removed, especially a Sabo and a Borsalino, because he could have swung. If he would have swung, let me say it like this: if he would have swung with his leader 5 into my Reiju, I probably would have just let it go. Then he could have gone 5 or 6 into face, or actually, excuse me, 6 into my 6 cost guy, and then 9 into my 6 cost guy, and then I would have probably let one of those go, and then he could play out 2 blockers, and he's good to go. Like, he's in a pretty good spot. Now, his hand is not very good. It doesn't have counter power, but I don't know that, right? So anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. All right, we got 2 more games. Sorry, guys. These games end up going a pretty long time. Okay, next up, got Red Purple Luffy. Let me make sure this is on 2x speed. 3x speed. Man, I'd be talking fast then. Okay, so I go ahead and get the stage to start. Like I said, I aggressively mulligan for the stage. If the stage is in my opening hand, I don't care what else is in my opening hand, I'm going to keep it. And if it's not in my opening hand, I'm just going to mulligan and hope that I get it. It's that important, guys. I would say it's that important. Now, there are other ways, while I'm setting up my hand and stuff here, there are other ways to get to the stage. Like, the event can search for the stage, and if you got the 1 cost Kaya 2K counter, you can also like draw 2 trash 2 to try to cycle through to get to the stage as well. So those are other options you can use if you did not get the stage. Excuse me. Okay, so I go ahead and play out. Okay, was that it? Hang on. I think I almost missed it, guys. Okay, so this turn here, I finally get it in the right order, I think. Okay, yeah, so here we go. Play this out. All right, pause. I have 6 cards in hand. I can only activate the Reiju. Y'all see the Reiju down here? I can only activate that Reiju if I have 5 or less cards in hand. So here's what I have to do. I have to play that out with this character's effect. That will bring me, and I can play it from my hand. Remember, you can play the card from your hand or from your trash. So I'll play the Reiju from my hand, and then use her effect first before the leader, which will allow me to draw 2 cards up to 7. Then I can use the leader's effect to draw up to 8. And if I do it in the opposite order, I go to 6 cards, and now my Reiju doesn't go off, my 4 cost Reiju. Okay, so there you go. And now I'm up to 8 cards. I'm feeling pretty good, right? It's you know, still a long game left, right? But I'm feeling pretty good about my situation. He's going to swing 5 into 5. I'm going to counter out very aggressively because I just draw those cards, and I want to draw those cards again whenever I get to my next Reiju. Like I said, or if I didn't say it already, you need to counter out aggressively with everything. Like, counter out of everything you can without getting rid of your combo pieces you need to get them back, right? Unless you absolutely have to. Okay, so there's another Reiju. Like I said, I'm going for all these Reijus. I'm going to swing 6 into 4. Let's see what he gives me. Smart, he just lets it go. I'm going to swing 6 into 6 with the leader. And I'm about to send this, I think I'm about to send this Zoro packing, right? Like, okay, yep, do that. Send the Zoro back to your hand. Because remember, he can KO a 2 or less. So I could have KO'd the Nami. But for a 4 or less, you can bounce it back to their hand. And hey, you can have that card right back. Okay, so he does a Nami search. Excuse me. And he gets a Radical Beam with the Nami search. I actually looked at it this time. And then he swings 7 into 5. I'm going to give him a 2K, 1K. That's fine with me. Because if you can counter out of their early stuff, it's good. Because Red Purple Luffy goes very, very big. Red Purple Luffy goes real big. Okay, so I'm going to trash the 7 cost with my stage. I'm going to grab a 2K counter. This turn, I don't have many great attacks because that's a 7,000 power leader, guys. That is a 7,000 power leader currently. But here we go. I'm at least going to put some damage on him. We'll go -2 there. I'm going to swing 7 into him. This is going to force a card out of hand or a card out of life. There's that Zoro we just bounced back. It's gone now. And then we're going to swing 7 into him. He takes that, and he did get I think he got a trigger. Or no, maybe he didn't. I don't remember. Okay, so now it's his turn. He's going to drop the new OP07 Dragon. Dragon is very, very good, guys. That card is very solid. It's an 8 cost, 9,000 power rusher that when it comes into play, you give 2 of the Rested Dawn cards to a character or leader. Okay, so his leader is now a 6, 7, 9. That is a 9,000 power leader swinging in and 7,000 power on defense. I have to take that. I have no choice. I can't. I literally, you know, blocking out of that would have taken like everything in my hand. I'm not doing that at this stage of the game. And then he's going to go for 11 into my 7, and that was a little bit crazy to me. It's like, okay, you know what? I am going to counter out of this because we might have to, you know, go for something here. So the right play here, I think, is I could have tried to go for lethal. I don't think I do. I think I try to get the board here. I could be wrong. -2 there, so that's a 6,000 power card. I'll give 6 and a 6. Let's see what he gives me. I would love to start taking cards from his hand here. He gives me a 1K. Now I have... I don't have a lot of options here, guys. And hang on one second. Let me let this play out. I swing 6 and a 6. Let's see what he gives me. He's got to think about this because that is a very important card. And if you can counter out of that to save it, you probably should. Right? That's what's going through my head at least. Okay. So he's going to go... I think he gives me a radical beam, guys. That's how deep this guy was in the tank. Excuse me. He gives me a 0-cost 3K counter. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Let's try and figure out how we're going to survive this next turn. 7 into 6. And then he gives me the rad beam. And now 8 into 6. This should take the card out. Yep. It's gone. But hear me out, guys. Hear me out. If he actually... So he does this in the wrong way. If he swings... How would he do this? He's got... I would swing with Dragon first. He swings for 7. I get a 2K counter. Starting to wipe the sweat. Like, okay, all right, we're not going to for sure lose now. Swing 9 into that. And I have to counter out of this one. And it was every card I had for an exact amount. And that's game. Now, it was not literally game, though. What I would have done there is I would have swung 7 with my leader. If I'm the Luffy. If I'm the Luffy, I would have swung 7 with my leader. Probably into the face or Reiju. It's really hard to say. Reiju I just let go, but face I probably end up taking that. Or actually I would probably counter out and I have 1,000 left in hand, or like 1 card left in hand. Then you can eat up the board and drop your blocker that draws 2 and trashes 1, and you can go from there and like defend in that way. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I don't know if going all in there with the Namis was the right call there. But who knows? You know, like I said, it was that was just what he was trying to do. Okay, next up, last game. Yamato, green-yellow Yamato. Let me get us on 2x speed. Okay, let me make sure it actually registered. Yeah, okay. All right. So here we go. We got green-yellow Yamato. This is a very solid leader, but it did not see as much success in the West as it did in the East, talking about Yamato. In fact, I think already in the West, I think Reiju has already done better. Has already performed better than Yamato. I could be wrong about that, but that's how it feels. Okay, so I counter out aggressively of the first one. I'm just trying to get cards in my trash. I'm trying to stay as high life as I can. He gets a Satori from the 5K attack trigger. Like I attacked for 5, he gets a Satori trigger from it. Seems good. So that's okay. I'm at least going to play this out, swing 7, and start really messing with him here. Because now he has to give me 2 cards from life or another card from his... Yeah. So he ends up taking... He's already down to 2 life after turn 2? Or turn 3. Excuse me, I think turn 3. He's going to swing 8 into me. I have to take this. I do at least get a trigger there, but I don't use it. I probably should have drew a card with that, to be completely honest. But I am searching for my blocker now. That's what there's a blocker. Actually, I guess I'm not. Maybe I was looking for something else. It's hard to remember what I'm trying to do at the time. But honestly, I think I should have taken the blocker right there. Like maybe that's just me. I don't know. Okay. Right here, I'm just fixing my hand. I've got 2K counters now. I've got pudding. He's got 6 cards in hand. So I'm like, all right, let me swing 5 into him, see what he gives me. He takes it. So now 7 cards in hand. He does get a cracker. Otherwise, I would have used pudding 1,000,000%. And again, guys, I'm starting to think like I feel like I should have just taken the blocker. That's just me. Because, okay, so looking back, let me pause real quick, guys. I'm sorry. I do have to talk about this for a second. So looking back, I think I should have taken the blocker. Swung 5 into Satori. He probably would have countered out of that to save it. And then I swung 7 into Satori, and that probably would have got him. If not, I didn't have to play the blocker. I could have played out the 4-cost red guy to do it again. If I had that, if I had one in my trash, I don't remember. Okay, so I play out this card, bounce back the cracker because that card is a problem. We can't let him just have that card. Accidentally left 1 Dawn open. It is what it is. Okay. He's got 5 cards in hand now. We know one of them's a cracker. He goes 200 million volts a Moria. And let's see what he's trying to do. I don't have a blocker, so he's literally just doing it to buff himself. Swing for 9 with double attack. Nope. We're going to 2K, 2K, 1K out of that every single time if we can. Now he's got 4 Dawn left. He's probably going to play out his Cracker. And maybe he's... Or he's going to swing 11 into 7. Okay. Not horrible, but I'm also not too worried about it. Watch this little play mistake I do. It ends up not mattering. 7, he takes it. So a normal person here, a normal person right here would just put 5 on their leader and swing 10 at face, right? That's what a normal person would do. Now, he got a Onami trigger to KO my guy. I swing for 6. He didn't have enough to counter out of that, and my next attack was going to be to play out the 4-cost guy to swing for 7 to finish. Why did I do that? Why didn't I just swing for 10 with my leader? It makes no sense. Yeah, it happens. Okay, just a fun one to end on there. All right, now let's check out the deck list, guys. That was a lot of games, and those games were very long. But we do have to check out the deck list now. This is it, guys. This is the list I was just running, and there's one big problem. I knew there was something wrong because some games felt like, man, I feel like I didn't have good counter power in this game. It's because I'm only running 8 2K counters. So the very, very first thing I would do is I would drop the pudding, 1 pudding, not all of them. Drop 1 pudding, drop 1 judge, and go up 2K counters. That's the very first thing I would do. And then the second thing I would probably do is actually drop 2 of these little guys, the little blockers, and just keep 2 of the big blockers in case I need them. And then go up to 4, go up to 4 2K counters altogether of whatever the one I choose. Real quick, let it load in real quick for the blue cards, and we'll talk a little bit about it. It takes just a second for these to load in, guys. I'm sorry. There we go. There's the blue cards, and then purple. Because I want to show you guys some other 2K counters you can use. Because Kaya, I would say, Kaya and Sora are 100%, like, you need to be running those. You need to be running Kaya and Sora. Kaya is just a searchable 2K counter. That's really it. You can use the on-play effect if you need to, but it's not as great. Kaya is very good, though, because if you don't get your Germa Kingdom in your opening hand after mulliganing for it, then you should at least get a Germa 66. If you don't get this and this, then you should at least get Kaya. You see what I'm saying? Like, one of these 12 cards you should get in your opening hand. One of them. And obviously, like I said, this is priority number 1 to get. But if you didn't get it, then hopefully you can find it with a Germa 66 Searcher event or a Kaya 1-cost 2K. Okay, what else? Let me look up the 2K counters real quick. As far as the other 2K counter goes, some people are running 2 Gion. Some people are actually, a lot of people are running 2 Gion and then 2 of the Miss Zala. For those, Miss Doublefinger. This is a 4-cost, 4,000 power 2K counter. It can trigger Dawn -1 to play the card. That actually can be decent to help you close out games if you need to, like to get an extra body on the board for an extra attack. But the main thing is this on-play. The on-play is you may trash 1 card from your hand and add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. So you can actually play this out, trash a card from hand, which could be a card like your Ikiji, and then you can ramp a Dawn. So that could be decent if you're trying to have a turn and get to judge. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to -1 judge, -1 pudding, -2 of these little guys, and I'm going to go up to 2K counters. It could be Miss Doublefinger. I'll put 2 Miss Doublefingers in, and I'll put 2 of the Gion in. Gion is obviously there to help you deal with Nami. Okay, that is what this card is for in the deck. That is its only purpose. That's it. So that ends up being 4 cards in the deck, like 2 Gions and 2 puddings to help deal with Nami. Because that could be a tough matchup, especially for newer players, you know what I mean, if you don't know what to do. But just to give you an idea of what to do, against Nami, you need to go as wide as possible. Fill out the entire board before you start attacking. Okay, just fill out the whole board. Try to keep your Dawn up. I don't even know if I would use the Dawn minus effects from these cards against Nami, where they like cards like this. I would probably just play out my cards, just flat out, and then use your kingdom here, your stage, to trash the small cards to look for your bigger cards. Okay, excuse me, but that all comes with playtesting. Now going into OP07, we get Sanji, and I actually think this is a great card. I would probably put this card in the deck over the Miss Doublefinger. This card seems good in practice, but I don't think it's that great, to be completely honest. That's just me personally. I don't think it's that great. Another card, whenever this card comes out, I don't know, guys. I need to keep better track of promos. I haven't been keeping good track of them. Whenever this card comes out, though, I actually would just go up 4 of these. I would get rid of the 2 Zalas, get rid of the 2 Gions, and just run straight up 4 Sanji, the 3 cost 4K, 2K counter, because it's Germa Kingdom searchable. Or it's, yeah, Germa Kingdom searchable. So that way you could search for Sora, you could search for the new Sanji, and then your one other 2K counter is Kaya, because this card is just incredible versatility, you know, 2K counter utility. Draw 2, trash 2. It's just so nice. It sets up combos for your bigger characters like Ikiji and Niji and Reiju. So good stuff there. That's about it. Now you can experiment. You can experiment with any of these 2K counters you have. And if you're a newer player where you just don't have all the Kayas yet, then don't worry about it. Literally put in whatever 2K counters you have available that are blue or purple. I mean, if it's like 2 Shikis or if it's like 2 Khalifas, I don't even care if it's 2 Shashi and Penguins. That's fine. Just put it in. You just need 2K counters there in the place of it. Like I said, because Kaya, I think, is like $2 a card right now. So if you're just trying to save as much money as humanly possible and make this deck work early on, maybe just try to put in Khalifa. This is just an uncommon, or maybe even Mihawk, something like this. You know, take your pick. But I will suggest what I have on the board right here, what's on the screen. Oh, look at that, guys. I almost forgot to move my face again. So sorry, guys. This was the Sanji card I was talking about. Hopefully I didn't mess up too many of those. This was the Sanji. This was the Miss Double Finger. Here's the Khalifa. Pause and read this if you don't know what this does. It's pretty good with the leader effect. This is the Gion card. Pause and read this if you don't know what it does. It's very important. But everything else is pretty straightforward. Like I said, you can run any 2K counter you want here, guys. But I would suggest running the Sora. First of all, it's just an uncommon, and it's searchable for your stage and your event. Okay, what else? So as far as the Vinsmoke stuff goes, this is really all we have. Currently, all we have are the cards we already looked at, and then there's a few new ones coming out in OP07. First is this Sanji. It's a 1 cost 0 power 1K counter. On play, Dawn -1 if your leader has the Vinsmoke family type. Or, yeah, Vinsmoke family. Or if it has the type Vinsmoke family, excuse me, draw 1 card. So this could, I still would not run this, to be honest, guys. I just wouldn't run this card. And this is a new Sanji, excuse me, a new Reiju coming out in OP07. It's a 1 cost 2K counter, 1 cost 2,000 power 1K counter. On play, if you have less or equal Dawn than your opponent, return one of your Vinsmoke family characters back to your hand. I think this is trying to do too much. The deck functions very well. It's very straightforward. I don't think this card needs to go in. So these 2 new cards from OP07, I probably wouldn't use. Now, a card worth considering is this one right here. It's called Black Bug. This is Vinsmoke family, Germa 66 searchable. 4 cost. If the number of Dawn on your field is equal to or less than the Dawn on your opponent's field, then you can place up to one of your opponent's cost 5 or less characters on the bottom of the deck. You can bottom deck a 5 cost card with this if you have less than or equal Dawn to your opponent. This is basically Black Bug. Black Bug is basically Reiju's version of 3000 Worlds. And it has Trigger, place up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or less characters on the bottom of his owner's deck. So Trigger hits a 4 or less, Main hits a 5 or less. So very, very solid there. And 5 is a very important number. If you have any Black Yellow Luffy players in your locals, 5 is a very, very important magical number. So this is, you know, this is worth considering. It also hits like Sabo in any Gecko, Moria, or Lucci deck. It's going to be able to bottom deck a card like Sabo. So that does have some relevance. This is something for you to mess with in the future. What else? That's kind of like the main thing. We talked about putting a little bit. This is just a card I recommend for any deck that runs blue. If you're running a deck that runs blue, then you should probably run 2 of these bare minimum, in almost no matter what the deck is or what it's doing. Because if you catch your opponent with 7 or more cards in hand and you drop this on them, that is, I think like probably like 9 times out of 10 it's going to be lights out, or like maybe 7 times out of 10. I don't know. Very, very solid though. And guys, that's about it. This is one of those decks where, yes, you can build it. There are people who are experimenting with Animal Kingdom Pirate stuff with Reiju, I think. You know, because you can, with Animal Kingdom Pirates, let me type that in. This is what people are starting to mess with. You have a searcher now for Animal Kingdom Pirates in blue, this Who's Who card, which will allow you to search up cards like Queen. Queen is an Animal Kingdom Pirates card. This, in Reiju, is a draw 3 trash one. Just absolutely incredible effect with Reiju. And because there's so much Dawn returning in purple, it's going to allow you to do quite a bit. You know what I mean? You're going to be able to use your leader effect all the time to draw cards. This card is a 9 cost. You know, this Kaido, for those who don't know what this card is by now, please pause and read it. This, in Blurple Reiju, running the Animal Kingdom Pirates package, this ends up being a 9 cost, 10,000 power rush card that draws a card. right? And KOs a 6 or less on your opponent's side of the field. So for 9 Dawn, you're going to return 5 of it, but then you're going to get a 10,000 power rusher that KOs a 6 or less and draws a card because of the leader's effect. So very, very good stuff there. People are still messing with this. I think it probably still needs a little bit more support before it's actually really good. But we are starting to see some potential from the Animal Kingdom Pirates version of Blurple Reiju. And if you guys have any other ideas for Blurple Reiju, please put it down in the comment section below, you know, for like other possibilities outside of the Germa 66 or outside of Animal Kingdom Pirates. Or if you guys just want to add anything, please do. Okay, last thing I want to look at, guys, I just want to show y'all this. I just took this right off of, this is right off of Limitless TCG. This is the deck right here, guys. This is it. Like, this is the deck I was just playing with. And notice right here, $64.49, and it uses TCG player prices. Actually, I took a few other screenshots. Yeah, here we go. Notice this, guys. $45 of the deck. So over, you know what, 2/3. So 2/3 of the deck is just Vinsmoke Reiju, the character, the 4-cost character right here on the right. Everything else is just pennies, guys. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like dollars, like a few dollars here and there. The Kaya is about $2 a card, so that's the only other expensive card if you want to call it that. Now, if you do want to add, if you are trying to add something like, if you're trying to add something like Queen to the deck, just to give you a heads up, that card's about $35 a card at the time of me recording this. That price might go up or down. I don't know. It depends on when you're listening to this and what region you're in. But I can't stress this enough, guys. This is like the cheapest competitive list out there. There might be a cheaper, more competitive list for Nami, which I will cover, by the way, in a future video. But that's not really teaching you the core fundamentals and mechanics of the game like Reiju is. So that's what I was saying earlier on in the video, talking about how, like, hey guys, you know, this is the list to get into the game with if you're a new player and you're trying to stay on a budget. Now, if you're a new player and you have, you know, you're just all in on the game and you want to play other decks, by all means, please do that. Please do not let me stop you by saying, like, hey, try this one out first. You don't have to. If you know what you want, you should go do that. You know what I mean? Do what you want. But if you don't know what you want to do, if you're like, I'm kind of looking at One Piece, but I don't want to get into it because it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. Well, guys, this is about as cheap as you can get in any TCG right now. Like this price of $65 competes with like Pokemon decks, right? Like, you know, Pokemon's known for having extremely cheap decks in the TCG world. This competes with some of those prices. So anyway, all right, well, that's it, guys. I'm just rambling at this point. Let me go and put up the patrons page real quick. Thank you to everyone who supports this channel. I mean, I don't care if you're just watching, you know, subscribe, or if you're subscribing, watching, liking, commenting, sharing, all that stuff. And please do all of that, guys, if you don't mind. You know, please, whenever you get a chance, like, subscribe, comment, share it, all that good stuff. I really appreciate all you guys. And to my actual patrons over here, big shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much, guys, for helping me out with the channel. Y'all are just amazing and just help me out, you know, with what I'm trying to do as a content creator. All right, guys, that's it. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, like I said. And until next time, peace.